G'day guys, the Cool Cook here. Now look, I've talked about roasting meat in terms of temperatures, which I hope you took on board. The next thing to talk about, of course, is timing. How long do you leave the meat in? My grandmother would tell you until it's done, but that's not always that helpful. I think I'm probably one of very few cooks, one of very few chefs certainly, who do not cook by weight. And I stopped doing that about 30 years ago. Very good reason for it. Conventional wisdom tells us that you take the weight of the meat and then you cook that weight by whatever it is, 25 minutes per pound and so on. That, for a long time, hasn't made any sense to me whatsoever. Let me try and show you what I mean. Yeah, I know, it's not a lump of meat. As a matter of fact, as an object, it has a very limited application, but it is roughly the same size and shape as a piece of topside. Now, if you were to get this, it would weigh about 1.5 pounds, and you would cook it for whatever. You tend to cook that for, what, 25 minutes a pound plus 25 minutes, something like that. Whatever it is, that's how you would determine it. Well, let's suppose it's a slightly bigger piece of topside. Two objects of limited application. Why should it take any longer to cook a piece of meat this size than it does to cook a piece of meat this size? Well, because it's twice the size, you say. Yes, that's absolutely true, but look, it's exactly the same thickness all the way through. And the heat of the oven doesn't cook by weight, it cooks by penetration. In other words, it cooks by thickness. So I use a high-tech method of determining exactly how long I'm going to cook my meat, and I promise you it works every time. Here is the object that I use. Ruler, okay? Everyone familiar with that? If you went to a Catholic school, you were very familiar with one of these, because it was used as a means of, it was an implement of correction, let's put it that way. Okay, and what I do is I measure my piece of meat right across the center, like that. And I read off the millimeters. So if you've got one of these old imperial rulers, it'll have millimeters on it. And the millimeters on this, it's 125 millimeters. And each millimeter represents 1 minute of cooking time. Okay? So there we go. This meat will take 125 minutes to cook, just over 2 hours. After that it will relax for 20 minutes outside the oven, then it'll be ready for carving, and it will be perfect every time. Try it. I'll bet you it works for you, and I'll bet you once it does, you will never time your meat any other way. Oh, doesn't work for chickens. You still have to cook a chook according to its weight. But I'll talk about cooking chickens, chooks in Australia, in another video.